Live from Global British Columbia, the News Hour with Chris Davis.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. BC may have missed out on the big money, but it is still the best economic news in years. BC will get a share of $33 billion worth of military shipbuilding contracts, the largest federal government purchase in Canadian history. Here are the results of the announcement. The biggest chunk, $25 billion, goes to Halifax Shipyard to build combat vessels. The smaller $8 billion non-combat contract goes to BC's SEASPAN Marine. The third bidder, Quebec's DAVIE shipyard, was shut out but may still get a chance at related maintenance work. For BC and for Nova Scotia, it means jobs for life in the shipbuilding sector, a massive economic impact that should benefit all of us. We have several reports tonight, beginning with Andrew on the announcement itself.
The successful bidder for the combat package is IRVING Shipbuilding.
It was the critical announcement that would decide the fate of shipbuilding in Canada for decades. In Halifax, celebration after hearing IRVING Shipbuilding had won the largest of the contracts, $25 billion to build the Navy's new warships.
They know where the best ships are built in the country, and they're built right here in Halifax. And ships are here. That's exactly right. Ships are here.
And across the country on the West Coast, that excitement was echoed. BC SEASPAN Shipyard winning the $8 billion contract to build non-combat vessels.
Happy chairman today. This is certainly a game changer, man. I'm choked up. I've been working on this for a long time. Been on SEASPAN for the last 20 years, and this is certainly a game changer.
This is the largest federal project in BC's history, bringing 4,000 indirect and direct jobs. The work will be an 80-20 split between SEASPAN's North Vancouver and Victoria shipyards.
So it's $8 billion. It's initially intended to be about an 8 to 10-year project, but there's another 17 vessels that have yet to be funded that will be on the backside of this. So when the federal government has been explaining for the last year that this is a 20 to 30-year project, that's what they mean.
Today is living proof that sometimes that scrappy dog really does catch the bumper of that car.
The non-combat vessel package currently includes research vessels, joint support ships for the Navy and Coast Guard, and a polar icebreaker. A win resurrecting an industry that was near dead.
I'm very, very excited. For generations, we were waiting for this. Finally it came.
So, you know, I spent my whole career here, and now chance for the kids to come and learn a trade. Fantastic, absolutely uplifting. The announcement just blew me away. What a way to finish an afternoon.
And in the issue of fairness, the Harper government went out of its way to keep politicians out of the decision-making process, hoping to avoid accusations of pork barrel politics. So to review the bids, the Tory government created a team of civil servants, all of them at the regular worker level. Those civil servants didn't know the names of the companies behind the three bids or their locations. The bids were simply labeled A, B, and C. And the outcome of the decision was not subject to review by politicians in the Harper cabinet either. In fact, the government says no politician knew the results until the decision was delivered to Public Works Minister Rona Ambrose just half an hour before she made the announcement. So how big is the $8 billion contract? If you add up the cost of virtually every BC mega project in recent years, the Olympics, the Sea to Sky Highway, the SkyTrain Canada line, and the new Port Mann Bridge, it still doesn't come to $8 billion. In fact, the BC Chamber of Commerce says the 20-year shipbuilding contract will have 10 times the benefit of the 2010 Olympic Games. Jeff Hastings has more on the economics of this historic contract.
Second place isn't a loss when it's worth $8 billion. News of SEASPAN's successful shipbuilding bid reaches the Liberal caucus in Victoria.
Despite the fact that I was absolutely confident throughout the process, you're still on the edge of your seat. And it was like the Olympics there, don't you think? Trying to wait for them to get through all of the stuff that had to happen before they finally made the announcement. You know what's so great about this? Is that this was the beginning of the jobs plan for British Columbia.
Just like that, another few thousand jobs are created for a provincial economy that saw unemployment shrink by a full point last month, now under 7%. And that was before today's news.
And it's our job now as a province to ensure that we have training, the basis for training, the improvements in post-secondary education, training and trades that can support this effort.
The business community agrees.
The key element of this is that we're going to have some labor shortages in some regions of the province, and we need to make sure that our universities and institutions are aligned to meet the labor demand going forward.
Certainly very good news. These economic impacts will be spread over many years. It will result in considerable increase in shipbuilding and related employment. It will generate tax revenue for the government. So a very positive development.
I'm a bag of nerves now. I was okay up till this morning, but...
Waiting on the announcement was agonizing for those who stand to gain the most, the workers who will build the ships.
And what this means today is that anybody that's still in the industry can now move forward, look forward to retirement without having to worry about layoffs and peaks and valleys. So this is great news for everybody in the industry, and I think it's great news for a bunch of young people coming into the industry to take it over.
This is a generational jobs announcement. These workers have a secure future, probably eyeing retirement before the contract runs its course.
Of Esquimalt, whose shipyard will share the $8 billion contract with North Vancouver, Ottawa's decision could represent a return to former glory. After World War I, Esquimalt became one of Canada's shipbuilding capitals. During World War II, more than 4,000 workers churned out dozens of ships for the war effort, but it has struggled in the years since. And as Ted Field reports, today's contract is really a new lease on life.
Huge cranes at Victoria's shipyard are not as busy as they could be. Right now, a BC ferry is almost hidden in a dock that can handle huge ships. That will change with the new contract. The news is music to the ears of workers.
Bottom line, good news, right? More work here, keep us down here more years.
Well, I think it's pretty good. It's great. Great for BC. It's great for us.
It'll employ a lot of people, give a lot of young people a chance to start like apprenticeship programs, like buy homes. Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Means more work, no less layoffs. It's good for the economy here, community, everything.
For the community of Esquimalt, it's a godsend. The city has seen the ups and downs of the industry. The contract means stability.
They've done an excellent job in terms of getting things like the ferries to come in for refit, and as well as cruise ships. But even with that kind of work, it was not consistent enough that you know, they were feeling confident and comfortable. And I know that you know, many of the young men and women that are working there, they would go, they'd be able to work for a period of time, and then they would have to be laid off because they couldn't take on those full-time workers. So this is going to change that.
Now the questions. Exactly how much work will come to the island?
Oh, it'll depend on what exactly the needs are. We have the more technical part of the shipbuilding. So the shells will be done in Vancouver, is my understanding, and then it comes over here for the internal work.
And that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's the detail work. We have the skilled labor to do it.
Recently, the shipyard has been busy doing cruise ship renovations. Good work, but seasonal. It's hoped the federal contract will mean more stable jobs.
I have relatives that have been down at Victoria Shipyard, which was formerly Arrows, for a number of years. A couple of them in the younger generation, a couple, 10 years away from retirement. So these contracts could potentially take the younger guys through a career for 20 or 30 years and the older fellas into retirement. So I think it's wonderful.
A few years ago, it looked all but dead. The West Coast shipbuilding is back.
The economic spin-offs from an $8 billion contract are massive, adding hundreds of millions of dollars to the value of the contract. Aaron MacArthur has the story of one, a major boost to post-secondary training in the trades.
SEASPAN will be looking for welders, a lot of them, and BCIT more than willing to provide the training. For the Millwrights, too. Cam Ayas is a first-year apprentice with the shipbuilder, and the future has never looked brighter.
It means guaranteed work. It means I won't have to look for another job for at least 20 years.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty good, actually.
The trickle-down effect will flood campuses across the province as young workers are trained for the decades-long contract. At BCIT, 5 of its 6 programs will benefit directly from today's announcement.
It's fabulous news. We're all excited about it. You know, on the plus side for the young guys, there's lots of opportunity there. And the beautiful thing is that it's a really rewarding skill, and it's going to be very good pay, very good remuneration with lots of future to it as well.
I think it'll make a lot of good paying trades jobs that have gone recently to Alberta and back east, because guys here, or people here in general, they just have to get out of town because there's not much in the way of work here. So they go to, a lot of them go to Alberta. We train them and they go to Alberta now.
While in the short term, new grads will be gainfully employed, long term, the biggest benefit might just be the training component of this contract, selling BC expertise to the international shipbuilding industry.
The obvious ones are with the marine industry. We have marine engineers, we have marine deck officers, there'll be carpenters, there'll be welders, building and supporting it. But it's also going to include a lot of the technologies, engineers. Business students will benefit from this as well. Everything from operations management, we do sustainable business practices, marketing, our health and safety, occupational health teams, all of them are going to benefit from this in the long term if we can put together a really nice package for this.
CAMIAS is a third-generation shipbuilder, a job with a rich history, but not much of a future. That is, until today.